Recently there was held the European elections, and I was a little more than disappointed when the BNP won more votes than expected. A few people who had the balls, or maybe the stupidity, to admit that they voted for the BNP were asked why they voted for them, and they said, oh well, a lot of them said, that it was a protest vote. And when I heard this, I was genuinely lost for words at the levels of mind-numbing ignorance on display. Surely this is the best example of cutting your nose off to spite your face. I mean, surely nobody actually wants Peter Griffin to be running things. And the fact that none of these idiots have spotted the irony that Nick Griffin, going on about Winston Churchill and our heroes of World War II, when World War II was fought to get rid of a group of xenophobic lunatics who tried to create an Aryan race. This would probably be funny if it weren't for the fact that the cretins who support the BNP have got the vote. I was a little concerned when the BBC said Nick Griffin was going to appear in Question Time. However, after only 5 minutes, it was obvious he was going to expose himself as the bigoted half-wit he really is. With the general election coming up probably next year, there's plenty of opportunity for more stupid votes, especially with the government in the bad books at the moment with the voters. Although if you believe all that you see and hear in the media, you might be forgiven for thinking that before the election's even been called, the results are a foregone conclusion. Especially if you watch the BBC. But of course it's not, if you don't want it to be. Although most people don't seem to realise this. And this is the real problem with our sham of a democracy. Far too many people don't choose who to vote for. They're told who to vote for. In a variety of subtle ways. Such as whenever anybody in the media talks about the Liberal Democrats, they always talk in a patronising, condescending way to suggest that they'll never get in power, so anything they say is irrelevant. But the only reason why they'll never get into power is because of the image that the media gives them. Of course, the media are not allowed to be biased once an election has been called, to the point that they even have to count every time a party's name is mentioned, and make sure all the parties' names are mentioned an equal number of times. However, this cannot make up for the previous 4 years of dismissive comments and backstabbing. So as a result, we have, in effect, a two-party system. Although these days it's harder to spot the difference between New Labour and the Conservatives. But most people haven't spotted this, and so you hear people saying things like, I used to vote Labour, but now this time I'm voting Conservative. Like it would make any difference to the way the country's mismanaged. The only real difference is who's creaming off the profits. And the two main parties know this. They know they've got 4 or maybe they're lucky 8 years to pocket as much money as possible before they get kicked out. It seems that people have a short memory. The fact that the Conservatives screwed up the economy just as much as the current government is usually admitted from speeches by David, friend of the common man Cameron, as if an Oxbridge Bullying Club member Toff could ever know what it's like to be working class. And frankly, if the common man isn't insulted by this, then he's not been paying attention. Unfortunately, many never do. They're like nodding dogs, while slimy, manipulative, grasping bastards talk to us like idiots, knowing we'll stand there in line next time just to tick a box and vote them back in again. Because we think there's no other choice. We think there's no other choice because they told us there wasn't. Because they said a vote for another party was a wasted vote, and we all believed them and did what they told us to. Or just stop voting altogether, which is really silly, because if everyone who had the vote and doesn't use it was to vote for a minority party, that party would win on a landslide victory, which no matter who the party was, would have to be a good thing, even if it was the Monster Raven Looney Party, just because it would make the government think about what he was doing and doing things right for a change, and fairly, just as long as it wasn't that bunch of racist thugs the BNP. So yes, protest votes are a good thing. And if everyone who was dissatisfied with the government was to register a vote for a party that was worth voting for, then your protest vote wouldn't be a protest any longer, but a real vote for change. So stop being told what to think next election. Why not try and vote for a party you actually want to win, rather than voting for a party you think will win? Because if you don't, you have no right to moan about who does win.